What's good, ladies and gentlemen? This is Robert Jackson here, pointing at me. And thank you for watching the podcast, the Station Squared podcast. Clearly, I did not have an intro prepared for this, but nonetheless, hope everybody's staying safe out there and staying cool and hydrated in the midst of this heat wave going about right now in LA. But yeah, what better way to kick back, chill, relax, and just talk about, you know, pretty much anything that we could talk about. So I have a previous guest who has been on my podcast before, but this time it's a video because wanted to, do something different and make this unique and interesting. So, ladies and gentlemen, here's Erin Fitzgerald sitting in the corner.
Hi. Hi, Robert. Hello.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming back onto the podcast. And
Welcome.
and this time we're seeing each other face to face. So yeah, this should be pretty nice and interesting. So yeah, last time I think we just pretty much talked about VO and whatnot. But yeah, would you like to just share with the audience like what you've been up to these days and just play a little bit of catch up? And yeah.
Oh, well, there was a pandemic and
Yeah.
then everyone went into lockdown and then like the whole world shut down and now there's all sorts of crazy things going on in the world, although there's always been crazy things, but it's extra crazy now. So I have been basically playing it safe. I am a safe human being. I stay safe. I try to keep my friends safe, which I guess makes me kind of like Chie a little bit. I want to make sure everyone is safe and everything is good. So yeah, I like it. I stick to my house a lot. I recorded a lot out of my house in the last 2 years. I coached one-on-one privately over the internet, and I video game with my friends, over the internet. So, it's only in the last year that I started going back to studios to record. Um, I recorded a number of games that I can't talk about, of course, but I can talk about the fact that I did record a lot of Storybots content. And Storybots is a kids' cartoon on Netflix. We had a series called Ask the Storybots and Super Songs of the Storybots. And last year we recorded two new series for the Storybots. And I play the big purple one named Bo, and I'm really, really proud of it. And it's really exciting work, and it's really great content. It's the kind of content, the guys who created it, they're brothers, and they made it so that parents would not be bored when their kids were watching this cartoon. They specifically made it to entertain the parents while also educating and entertaining the children. Like that was the MO. So, very first show that we recorded, it really felt like Sesame Street to me. Like all I kept thinking to myself was like, oh, I just booked Sesame Street, like the brand new Sesame Street, and that's what it felt like, and it still feels that way. Number of years and a lot of Emmys later. It I didn't get any Emmys. The show got the Emmys, but teamwork makes the dream work, so they shared it with us, and so yeah, so that's been like my heart and soul for the last few years, and hopefully, if the series, both series should come out this year on Netflix and on Netflix YouTube, Netflix Junior. So hopefully, you guys like it and watch it so that I can do more of it because it's my favoriteest job out of all the jobs I have ever jobbed. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. What have you been doing, Robert?
Boy, yeah, it's not every day I get the spotlight being, being put upon me on my own little podcast. But well, as you said earlier, you've done, private one-on-one, which I was very, pleased to say that I did take one private coaching with you, and oh my gosh, that was so much fun.
It's
Yeah, I
fun,
really had a
right?
lot of fun.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
really love doing it, and I'd love to do it again someday.
Oh, I'm happy. Thank you for saying that. That's kind.
Yeah, I know. It's just during the session, it was just like it was just so much fun just bringing just my improvisational skills and then applying, the methods that you were instructing, and I used it, and it was just something like just thinking outside of the box and just coming up with my own unique characterizations,
Yeah.
characters, and takes. And yeah, and I'm happy to say that I have been booking a lot of work since we took that session together. Most of
Oh, that's
which I
good.
yeah, most of which I can't say.
Yeah, I
But
understand the
yeah,
struggle. Yeah. But that's wonderful. That makes me so excited and also makes me look good. So thank you for that. That's very kind.
yeah.
Yay!
That's a good way to, just hey, by the way, she does private coaching, guys, just to promote your services. Make sure
Oh,
to
that's
get
okay.
private coaching with Erin here. She is totally rad. She is awesome, and she is gonna um really work your butt, and most of all, you're gonna have fun doing it. So yeah, that's all I can
That's
say
the
about it.
goal. Yes. I
Yeah,
appreciate that. Well, that's
and
great. I'm happy to hear you've been doing so well. That's wonderful. That's great news.
yeah. And other than that, let's see, I moved into, I'm supposed to be getting like I'm going to be upgrading my little home studio into like one of those PVC boots or something
Okay.
that they have.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be moving into like a new room. So, I mean, at least I still have like this little closet that I record in, but I still get a lot of work done. And it's done me, pretty I've been doing really well with this little space here, but yeah, I just one goal that I wanted to have this year is to have more space so I can move around more
Mm,
and so I can just be like pretty much more because when you're acting, your body like you really get into the physicality of the character, and that's
I
always
do.
just kind of been.
I
I mean,
do.
a lot of us do. I mean, that's pretty much me, and that's pretty much how your performance is. It really you have a lot more energy and the adrenaline just rushes inside of you and you just really give it 100%. And that's like standing really also helps. I'm just saying this right now. So
No, it's true.
yeah.
It's true. And I only record at home in a closet. So that's why when we work out in my sessions, we work outside of the booth so we can use the whole body. And for me, I have to memorize what it feels like when I am working characters outside of the booth so that when I'm inside the booth, which is my closet, and I can't move, I can remember the feeling and I can bring everything back just like it was when I was outside because you are limited in home records and I don't have the space in my place for a PCV or big booth. I don't have I have to use the closet. There's nowhere to put a booth. So I'm really happy about it. Yeah, so I get it. I totally get it. And I only stand when I'm acting as well because for me, because I'm able to stand, of course, that's very ableist of me, but because I have the ability to stand, it helps me with the flow of energy that I'm having. Everybody's different. I know that there are people I know that just kind of like lean against something because they need to lean against something. There are people who sit down because they need to sit down, but they use their own techniques to be able to draw that energy and make sure their performances are in the same place.
Course. So, yeah, new booth, and I've also started, taking more, yeah, just more doing more improv, doing like, so checking out websites and taking acting webinars, not just specifically voiceover, but just acting in general, and
Good, good.
yeah.
All of those things. Those are you are literally listing off everything when people ask me, what should I do? Listen to Robert is what you should do. Listen to Robert. That is what you should do. The things that Robert is doing, you should also be doing. So yeah, nailed it. Good job.
Listen, listen to me. But yeah, it's been a fun process so far. So new space. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, I'm pretty much am doing just a lot of stuff. Well, I'm just kind of being more independent and just, taking care of the some adulting stuff. Adulting 101, folks.
That's real.
Yeah, that's gonna be yeah, it's gonna be fun when I start doing taxes, because oh boy. But I'll get to that. That's gonna be like something that's gonna be in the future. But yeah, and yeah, I think I've pretty much been doing like pretty much most of everything that's been keeping myself occupied. And when I'm not, do recording lines or auditions, I'm
Right.
creating projects, and I have like people to help me out. I'm writing a few stuff, so that's going to be pretty fun. It's just little projects that I've been, you know, coming up with ever since I was a child, like just pretty much creating content and writing
Oh,
stories. And that's
yes. Good.
something that
Do
I
what Robert
always
does. Do what
love.
Robert does. Do what Robert does.
Yeah.
Everybody. Good
Because
job. Good
besides
job.
voiceover, yeah,
Gold
I just
star.
always love storytelling. I love
Good
writing
for you.
stories. I love creating stories, like all these characters and these
Yeah.
worlds. That's just always been me when I was a kid. Yeah,
Beautiful. I love that. That's wonderful.
yeah. And yeah, I've pretty much been all over the place. Oh yeah, just playing video games. I've been playing let me
Yeah, what
see.
are you playing?
Let me see here. I'm just gonna bring this out.
Where's my, oh, I put mine on the dock. It was out of battery.
No worries. These are pretty much the games that I've been playing. I don't know if you can see very well, but
No,
yeah,
I can't
just
see.
uh, yeah,
They're
but
too
just
bright. You'll have to read it.
oh yeah, I've been just playing a lot of like the classic NES, Super Nintendo, Mario Kart,
Nice.
um,
Classics.
yeah, Sonic on here. Yeah, just oh yeah, and Smash Bros. And Splatoon. And I know there's
Hey.
a third one coming out, not sponsored by Nintendo, but yeah. So I've just been playing a lot of VG games in my little spare time and just catching what's on Netflix. So yeah,
Nice.
what have you been, I guess, media that you've been consuming as of late?
Well, I've been playing Breath of the Wild for the first time, and I've
Yes.
never been a third person video game person because I get nausea usually. But I found I've been taking these homeopathic motion sickness tablets before I play, and it's been allowing me to play without getting nauseous. But the mechanics of it is so difficult for me because I've been so, like Animal Crossing or Dragons 2D scrollers, Overwatch is, I used to get really nauseous with Overwatch when I was playing it when I first started, but I just kept pushed through. Playing Zenyatta helped with my nausea because he was always really, really calm and he didn't, and the camera I could control pretty good. So Overwatch, I got over my nausea, but with other like, open world games like Breath of the Wild, I haven't been able to play because of the nausea. So I'm trying to get through. It's been a real struggle. I'm not gonna lie. The game is beautiful, but for me, the struggle of the camera and not being able, like when I'm trying to fight something and I can't turn around to see it, oh my gosh, the struggle is real. And I have such a difficult time not being like, I don't like that the camera's not always facing for where my eyes are. Like I just really like the whole thing is crazy to me. I don't know how you guys do it. But anyway, so I've been playing that. I play Animal Crossing obviously, and I still play Overwatch obviously. And I'm very excited for Overwatch 2. I can't even wait. And just polished off Bridgerton season 2, which I love. But my favorite TV show right now has to be without question Abbott Elementary on ABC. I watch it on Hulu. I can't get enough of that show. I am rewatching episodes already. I am just like I am so deep in that show. I love it is the funniest show I have seen in a long time, and it makes my heart so happy because it's one of those shows I can marathon. I can't wait till it has 10 seasons under its belt and I can just watch because I like to binge watch the same show over and over because I'm neurodivergent and that's what I like to do.
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of the same way. Funny enough, I actually don't get motion sickness unless if I'm riding in a car, which I know a lot of people
Okay,
also experience
that's
this.
true.
So
Hmm.
yeah, whenever I play, if I'm on the Nintendo Switch, I can actually. Okay, this is gonna sound embarrassing. I know it's not healthy, but I used to play it in the dark, and I never had any issues.
But I
And
think
I
that
kind of
we're in two totally different generations though. I think you
yeah.
guys have been brought up with the camera work in games so that you guys got used to that really, really early on. I'm from like before video games were invented. So I was brought up with like such, like 2D scrollers for so long that I did not make the leap to this new world because when y'all were getting this new stuff, I was going to university, I was struggling to get a career, I wasn't gaming during those years. So I had to, it wasn't until I was like in my mid late 20s when I started picking it up again. And by then it was too late. And so I stuck with the simple games that didn't make me nauseous and I just avoided them. because I wasn't brought up on this new camera work. And so I think that you guys were born to it. You know what I mean? Like, you were born into it. You guys were given the gift of figuring it out from an early age, which is mwah, chef's kiss. I love it. I think that's awesome. But I have to rewire all of the brain training. I was born in the wrong generation, dang nabbit. Lasai.
Mm. Yeah. So, I guess we've pretty much have caught up on most of what we've been up to these days.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I think the last time that we did this, I think we were, yeah, it was like, because I think the pandemic, it was just, yeah, it just started like back in 2020, and also,
yeah,
a lot of stuff that was going around at that time, but particularly that
yeah,
summer, which, was oof. Yeah, and we're still fighting for, these issues as of today. So,
yeah,
yeah, and it's been pretty hard. I mean, especially for somebody who is African American like myself. I've
yeah.
been seeing all of this stuff that's been going around, and especially this is also just in something that I've noticed. Like, it's just kind of been something that people have been fighting for a long time, not just in public spaces, but just in the industry. Because there've been stories that I would hear of a lot of actors being passed up for certain roles because they don't fit that ethnicity, they don't fit what a character sounds like, or just a lot of other stuff like that. That is just, oh my gosh. I'm like, yeah, but I'm so glad to see more people are fighting for a lot of, and you're also a huge advocate for this type of stuff too, as I've been seeing your Twitter, like social
I
media
have been for a
presence.
long
Yeah,
time. Yeah, even before
yeah.
2020. I have been uh, it was a lonely road before 2020. Luckily, after 2020, a lot more people joined me in my journey. But my journey isn't perfect or pretty. My journey was filled with white people casting me in black roles, and the inner struggle of, do I take these roles? And usually it would be like I'd show up to the job and then find out the character was black, or in some cases, I didn't even know the character was black because it was Japanese animation. And I was fully unaware, because I don't watch anime, that white hair and slightly tan skin was a black character. Like, I had no idea. So there were a couple of roles that I got that I didn't know they were black characters until black fans came up to me to tell me after the games were released, like, oh, that's a black character. I'm like, no, it's not. Look at her. She's not black. Like, no, no, no. That is what the Japanese do to represent. And I had no clue. And neither did the people who hired me. They didn't know that they were black characters. And so it's fascinating. Like, the education that has gone on in the last 10 years has been it's shameful, but also fantastic that, at least it's happening, right? So as soon as I started on that journey, I remember there was one role I took. It was a black character in a kids series, and there was no black voice actors auditioning. And I asked, I'm like, how come? Why isn't there any black actors auditioning for this role? And I was told, oh, there aren't any black female voice actors. That's what was said to my face at the time. And they wanted me to read for the role. And I have a lot of black nieces and nephews. In my head, this is what went through my head, and I'm not saying this is right. I am absolutely white womaning this situation, but this is what happened, and this is where I'm learning about my own internalized racism, living in a racist society. So I decided to take the role because in my head I'm like, well, if I don't take the role, I have actual relationships with young black women who are my family. Then some white woman is going to take the role who has no friends or family that are black. What is better? And I so I would that was my, I'll just do it. I'll just do it. But I walked away from all of those roles as I got the courage. And it took a lot of courage for me to walk away because I didn't know I could say anything because nobody was talking about it. Everybody kept saying, oh, there is none, there is none. And so I would talk to my black girlfriends and say, a lot of my black girlfriends are on camera actresses. And I'd say, how come you're not doing voiceover? I could get you in. They need black actresses. And at the time, in the early 2000s, they were saying we need more Black actresses on camera. Our problem isn't about representation in cartoons. Our problem is they're not hiring us for on camera. There's not enough. We want representation visually. Nobody is representing us visually. And so their mission was different than my mission. Their mission was they wanted to be working on camera so they could start representing visually. And I understood that, so I didn't push. Cut to 2015, and then a lot of the women that I was friends with that were on camera started working in voiceover, and now they're all working in voiceover now as well as on camera. They do both. And then I also was starting to make friends with Black actresses who did do voiceover, and I started taking names and numbers. I mean, as early as 2010, early, that's still late. I know, white woman. But 2010, I started really putting together lists and mailing out lists of actors who were not white, who could take roles, whether the roles were white or Black. Like what to me, it's not about, at the time, it was like, we just need the casts not to be all white casts. Like it would be all white in the room behind the glass, all white in the room with the cast. And I was never comfortable with all white rooms anyway, because I don't come from, like, my upbringing, I wasn't in all white rooms. I was, it was very diverse. My schools were diverse. My friend circles have been diverse for a very long time, since I was a kid. I'm more comfortable that way. So, and America white is different than Canadian white. And I'm from Canada originally. And America white has a whole other, flavor to it, and a other history and experience to it. So I was learning, what can I say as a Canadian white woman? What am I allowed to say? What's going to fire me? Am I okay with being fired? Like, I had to negotiate a lot of things within myself on my own journey to anti-racism. Before I even understood what anti-racism was, I was on this journey for myself. And a couple of my nieces, we had great conversations. I mean, really great conversations. And they were the only people that I could talk to about these things, so that I could go into a room full of white people and say something out loud, or send that email and say, hey, have you thought about maybe opening this up, maybe casting this way? Have you thought, here's a list of people you can contact? And then when 2020 hit, and finally it felt like, okay, the white people can't pretend this doesn't exist anymore, because now it's a louder conversation. Because I felt a lot of the time before 2020, it felt like I was talking to deaf ears, where people would just listen but be like, well, I don't know what you're talking, you're not talking to me, I don't know what you're talking about. So now it's definitely, it's more of a conversation, and it's not up to, the Black actors or Black community to talk about this. It's up to white people talking about it with other white people. And it has been my MO for quite some time to have those uncomfortable conversations with white people one-on-one. I find that white people don't like to be called out in a large group, so I try to get conversations with people one-on-one, so that we can have these conversations, so that they can make their awkward admittances, so that they can say the things that they're embarrassed saying out loud, and they can start their own journey. And it's been really wonderful. I've seen some amazing transformations, not just of individuals that I know, but of entire studios. And I've seen shifts in hiring practices, not just in terms of casting, but hiring within the studios. That's a big shift that is beginning to happen. I want to see more Black directors. That is, producers and directors is what I would really like to see, because I don't think the real change will happen until we have enough Black producers, Black directors, Black writers, as opposed to like an all white staff and one Black writer. Like that's not serviceable to anyone. So hopefully that will continue to change. We got a lot of work to do, period. As white people, we got a lot of work to do. So, and there's so much Black talent that everyone is just waiting to be hired. So, yeah, contact Robert. I got a list. Contact people. We need to get more people in this industry, period. The work is there. It's unconscionable that we're not doing better, and that we don't do more, period. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on it, if anyone gives a crap.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that a lot of people are going to be very much appreciated on, just this very important issue that's been going on for, it's just been something that's been going
Ever.
on for like,
Yeah.
period. Yeah. Just
Yeah.
because with history, because a lot of people know that I am, also I'm a huge fan of like researching history. I do research. I mean, like in school, we've done so much history lessons and books and whatnot. We've studied about a lot of the biggest events, like we've also studied about the Spanish flu, and look where we are now. 100 years later
Yeah.
and stuff like this.
Yes.
So we've also studied
Yes.
like the world wars, and
Yes.
especially with what's been going on right now in Ukraine and Russia, and we're just so pretty much all of this stuff is like none of this is like, I mean, I wish I could say that I was surprised or shocked by any of
Yeah.
this chaos that's been going on. But the truth of the matter is, I was raised with because like I was raised in a family that just didn't really like to, baby or coddle me. I just had to learn and figure out because as much as I really loved doing like, all this creative stuff, I was well aware that this world is not really perfect, and I've just been
Yeah.
raised that like there's just a lot of this racism that's been going around in particular,
Yeah.
and like a lot of people, I've experienced my fair share of it. I think I made a Twitter post not too long ago, just um, s- detailing just a really unpleasant experience that I've had with it. But yeah, when I was in school, and I just felt like I needed to share because yeah, because I saw somebody else, like one of my friends who also works as a voice actor or actress, I don't remember who, but they made a post about it, and it just brought like a lot of bad memories. So I just had to share my experience out, just to get it out there. And it's a nice way
Yeah.
of, you know, it's therapeutic because it's been something that I've kept for like years, and I just couldn't like hold it in much
No, it's
longer.
a
I've
big
talked
deal.
to friends.
And
Yeah.
I really need to reiterate this point that nobody's talking about yet, is that it's not enough just to hire more Black talent. It's really important to make the spaces safe for Black writers, for Black directors, for Black actors. And to make the spaces safe, it needs to be less white people in the room. Just one white person makes a space less safe, because it's like I heard this analogy and I thought it was a perfect analogy. Just a guy was talking about how women have a difficult, because women always, we have to say, we know that it's not all men, but we have to treat it like it's all men when it comes to sexual assault stuff. The reason that is, it's like if you ever work with guns, if you like guns and shooting guns, if you're taught how gun safety, you are literally taught you have to treat every gun that you come across as if it were loaded. You have to treat it as if it were loaded. For your own safety, you treat every gun as if it were loaded. That's the same as when women have to treat every man as if they were loaded, as if they were coming at you, just for your own safety. And it's the same for Black people in a room with white people. You got to treat every white person as if they were loaded. You don't know which white person is safe and which white person isn't. You can't know. And there are people who pretend that they're safe and they turn out that they're not. So it is really important to create safe spaces. And that means, surround the talent, surround people. Like there is so many Black, brown, and other races to fill a room with other than white people. We got to make the spaces safer so that people can be the best that they can be without having to feel fear in a room just because you don't know which white person might go off or might be, do microaggressions or might, who knows what. I mean, the stuff we've seen from white people has been spectacular. And I don't even know, I'm sure there are stories from people from me, like I'm not even aware of things that I have done, because why would I be aware of it, right? So I'm spending all of my time learning and studying and really working on myself, and like, okay, what is the unlearned stuff? I mean, the learned stuff that I have to unlearn that I don't even know about. That's the way that we make the spaces safer. I think that's important to mention.
Yeah. And I'm not saying this, it's not only just for, my fellow African American, my buddies and colleagues or whatnot. It's just there's a lot of you know, but it applies to like people that are let's see, they're from different cultures. Like extending this to like people who are Middle Eastern, who are from different countries and all of the other
Yeah.
ethnicities and races. Like my
Yeah.
Asian friends, my
Yeah.
Chinese, Japanese, and everybody. Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly.
Everybody.
It's not everybody.
No. White people
Everybody
have
needs to
been
be
bad for
there.
a long
Yeah.
time towards everybody. Yeah, white people and like let's be I've got to call it like it isn't other races towards it's white people towards anything that's not white. Period. So I'm let's not dance about it. It's white people. It's a white people issue and only white people can fix their own white people issue. It's nobody else's business to fix that. So we in my opinion, if you're white and you're listening to this, help create safe spaces. Make sure you mention your friends and bring in people that you love that aren't white around you. Bring them closer, bring them tighter. Ask them what you can do, but don't expect them to teach you. It's not their job to teach you. There's plenty of resources for us as white people to go and do our work and learn for ourselves. The new Jim Crow, I recommend that book. Tears They Cannot Stop by Michael Eric Dyson, recommend that book. Like that's great places to start as white people, but to have conversations with other white people who are willing to have conversations. I'm one of them. So white people, we need to educate each other and learn and do better, period.
Reminds me, there was this one movie that I watched, and I think it came out in 2018. It's called The Hate You Give, and it's based on a novel by Angie Thomas. So this
Yes.
movie was
Oh,
like,
it's good.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I highly
Powerful.
recommend it.
I
Yeah,
do too. Yeah. There's lots of things you can watch. Lots of things you can watch. Yeah.
yeah. And that was just something that I don't remember if it was my suggestion or if it was my mom, but I think we decided, you know what? I think this might be a really good movie just because we haven't watched a movie that was really like thought-provoking, that really touched
Mm,
upon, serious, like in-depth issues that is,
yeah. It
and
was
it kind of
perfect.
led
It was
well,
well
yeah.
done. Yeah.
And
Yeah. It
like
was it was also I didn't feel like it was preachy. I felt
uh,
educated afterwards. I felt educated and I understood things better. And that's what you
yeah.
want when you watch something like that, is you want to understand things better. And I thought they did a great job.
Yeah, and it especially we didn't know what was going to happen for like the next 2 years, but I think it was like the movie, the message that it was that it told in the movie. I think this message is a lot more prominent. Like it's way more prevalent now than it was. I mean,
Yeah, I
like it's
agree.
always been prevalent, but like even more so in these present times.
No, I agree. I agree. You can
Yeah,
feel the pushback from the progress we've made
yeah,
by having the discussion, because we're having the discussion out loud, not quietly anymore, because it's out loud and in public. The pushback is equally as strong. Just looking at today was the historic confirmation of Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. Justice Jackson! Very excited. But we saw the battle and the pushback against such progress as we achieve today. So the battle isn't over, and there are elections this year. We there if we lose an inch, the racists are coming. They're coming. So we want to make sure that we stay strong, and more white people need to be involved. And by it's not enough to sit back and do nothing and watch it unfold as a white person. That's not okay anymore. That's not okay, because that's how, by not doing anything, the people who are um, against humans who aren't white, they are going to push forward regardless. We as white people who care about people, we have to stand on the front lines. We have to be the barrier that protects our loved ones. It's up to us to be the chie for your friends. You've got to show up. You've got to protect your friends. You've got to say something when you see something that is not right or kind or loving or true. You got to say something. You've got to stand up for your friends, because their voices aren't being heard. I listen to my black female friends because their voices aren't heard in the masses, and they should be. They have the wisdom and the experience. They know things that I don't know, and they understand things that I can't understand, and they're the people I listen to the most.
yeah. Um, it's just really interesting when you look at like the content that you watch, and how stuff that was made a long time ago can, you
Yeah.
know, can still be much. It can hold an even stronger message, even to
Mm.
today's standards. And then
Yeah.
there are some that kind of don't really age particularly well because yeah,
Yes.
there's a lot. I could just talk about
True.
like, you know,
True.
because when I'm watching a show, because you know, all of
Everything from the
those.
80s, I can't watch it anymore. I was rewatching. I'm like, oh, cringe. Oh, cringe. Oh, cringe.
Oh
Oh my
yeah,
God, I was brought up with that. Like, I
like
see the brainwashing. I understand why I think the way I
mm,
think and the stuff because I see what we were brainwashed with in the 80s and 90s. I see the brainwashing. It's
yeah, and
clear.
that's not even getting to like this stuff made before the 80s, like all those old
Oh,
cartoons and the oof,
oh,
yeah.
yeah, cringe.
I
But
mean
again,
like
brainwashing
yeah,
is children but it's important to know that for the Gen Xers, that's what they indoctrinated us with, right? That's
yeah,
what went into our brains. That's where I learned
yeah.
misogyny. I have misogynist behavior ingrained in me because of content they fed to me as a child. I have to undo my ingrained racism and misogyny only because millennials and Gen Z are pointing it out. Because I'll tell you, the boomers weren't pointing it out, and the Gen X, we weren't aware of what we were indoctrinated with. We were unaware of it because it was, when you're taught stuff as a child, you don't know. It's the new generations that are bringing light to all of the darkness, and so we get to heal. Gen X gets to heal because of millennials and Gen Z. You guys have opened the way so that we can be better humans and we can fulfill our true potential. So that's kind of amazing to me. And I have a lot of love for every generation that's come after. And I hope to do right by all of you.
Yeah. There's actually an article on TV tropes called Values Dissonance, and there's actually a quote because you know, like a lot of the like even stuff that came out like let's see, like say the 2010s or like 2000s and going way back.
Yeah.
And there's like, I mean, it was because when you're a kid, you didn't really pay much attention to this stuff. You just think, oh well, I
Yeah.
guess it's a kind of a funny gag, but when you get older, it's like, I mean, this is why they kind of have that. Before you watch like the old like Warner Brothers Looney Tune shorts, they have a title card on some of the DVD box sets where they pretty much plain as day said they what you're about to see are products of their time because what
Yeah.
was okay, what was acceptable then isn't acceptable now. So
Yeah.
I just really give you know a lot of credit to Warner Brothers for sticking their guns and just to
Yeah, I do
say like,
too.
yeah,
Call it
like
out.
this is not
Call it
okay.
out.
Like
Exactly.
even for Disney, like the
Yeah, I
stuff that they did
agree.
back then and
Very,
now,
very
yeah.
proud of the stands there everybody's taking. But that again, that is a tribute to the millennials and Gen Z that there's
Mhm.
enough humans on the planet to say, no, we're not doing this anymore. If because the
Mhm.
corporations are just going to follow the money, and as the boomer generation is going, the money transitions to the younger generations in some ways. But we are being very. I don't know about you, but I am very particular with the content that I watch. I don't
Well,
watch
yeah.
something if I know or heard that it's going to if it punches down, you know what I mean? Like if it's misogynistic, if it's racist, if it's homophobic or anti-trans, I have the freedom of choice not to support that piece of content. And I don't. I do support content with black creators, black writers, black producers, Asian creators, Asian writers, Asian producers, and so forth, because that's the content I want to see, because those are the stories I've never heard before. I have seen every white story under the sun regurgitated a million times. I'm over the white stories. I'm interested in other stories. So that's the content I support. And my what I support, that's my dollars, and they're tracking it. They're tracking it on the streaming services. They know what people are watching in a way they didn't even know before, because before you would just leave the TV on and they weren't really, you know what I mean? It's different. We're cherry picking the best content that we want to see. So keep doing that. You are literally voting with your time and your energy what you want more of. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of powerful. You have power as a consumer. You really do.
Yeah. And I remember back when it was the year 2009, and yeah, 2009 was also a year. But I remember when Disney released The Princess and the Frog, and I remember people were like literally shocked that like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, they have their first like Black African American princess in a mainstream Disney animated
Yeah.
film. I'm like, what? And now we're still getting representation even now with films like what came out recently? Like Onward. Let's see. There's also a lot of the new movies that are coming out now. Oh, and also Soul. The
But I
new
would
one,
like to
Turning Red and stuff
see
like.
what here's the thing. I have a problem with like Soul and any this is something that I have black animator friends and we were discussing like why
Yeah.
isn't there black animated I mean, I guess Into the Spider-Verse got released and
Oh yeah,
that's
Spider-Verse.
one
That's
thing,
also a nice one.
but there's a lot of movies with black lead characters that turn into an animal or into something else so we don't see them being black leads for
Yeah.
the entire movie. Like that is like we got to get over that. We really need to see more
Oh
feature
yeah.
films with black animated characters who don't turn into something else. Like can we get more of that
Mhm.
please? Spider-Verse proved that it can be done. So let's do more of that, please, because it's absurd that there's these feature films that are labeled as black films, but the characters don't get to stay black for the whole. It's so subversive, micro, but obviously, like it says something. It says something. It's not real representation.
Yeah, and I really liked. I remember when I walked out of the theater, like when I saw The Princess and the Frog, I loved it. But then, you know, going because as a person, I think your opinions and tastes just kind of change over time when you get older and
Sure.
you start really
Hopefully,
educating
you learn
yourself.
better. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I
and
hope
I've learned
so.
better, and I'm like, wow, okay. So it's like you have an opportunity. Like this is pretty
Yeah.
much like, yeah, you
Yeah.
finally
You.
have this, and then it's like,
Yes.
oh yeah, you decided to pull this, and I'm like, I mean, by the way, I'm not, and by the way, these are all entirely subjective. You don't even have to agree
Yeah.
with us. We're just,
Agree. Yeah.
yeah,
We're
but
just
we're just,
noticing because
yeah,
we're in the industry, we're noticing. And it's important to
yeah,
notice because if you're going to create content and if you're going to get into this industry, we got to do better. We can do
yeah.
better than what's been given. Granted, I don't want to take away what's been given because every single thing that comes out is a stepping stone to where we are, right? Every single piece of progress, no matter how small the progress, is still progress. We got to take every inch of progress as human beings because it's a slow journey. Shifting consciousness is not a fast adventure, it's a slow journey and it happens one piece of art at a time. That's how it happens. So, all we can do is keep at it. Keep at it and keep having conversations. I don't debunk anything and I'm not giving a bad review to any of those movies. Like they are exactly what they needed to be at the time that they were created. And I understand the consciousness when they were created, but we got to always look forward and look to do better. We can do better. We can do better.
Yeah. And we're not just slamming the companies or the people who worked
No, not at
really,
all.
really hard on these movies because they poured their heart and
I
soul into
agree.
these.
Yeah,
And
I agree,
it's not a
Robert.
knock against, the people that made these, but
Hmm.
we got to keep in mind that at the time that they came out, we're getting, like you said, we're gaining more of a more open
Awareness.
awareness,
Yes.
and especially at the time that these were made, like because if we didn't have the technology or like just the deep conversations or like just
That. It's the
the friend
conversations.
support groups
It's the
that we have now,
conversations.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think,
It's the
yeah,
open conversations that we're having that like there are things I didn't see 10 years ago. I honestly didn't see them. And that's my own ignorance. When
so
I
I was a
don't see
kid.
something, that's
I was
ignorance.
literally a kid,
Well,
yeah, back then.
I wasn't a kid. I was grown and I still didn't see stuff,
Yeah,
right?
so
So it becomes it literally it
generation
takes
gaps.
conversations with people who are not like you, people who don't think the way you think, people who challenge your views on life, people with different life experiences is what that's why traveling is such a great thing. When you travel, you get to see different life experience, you get to see different things. It opens your mind so you can release ignorances that you have. Well, it's taken a lot for white people to release the ignorances we've had because we've had the privilege of holding on to ignorance for a really really long time. And it's time for us to start putting like chipping away at that ourselves. So, with all of the new content coming out and all of the new amazing projects coming out, like we get to it, it's honestly, it's a win-win. We get new content that's inspiring and wonderful, and we get more representation, and people get to see themselves. Every kid will get to see themselves in the next 10 years. Every kid, I hope, that has a piece of content where they go, that's me. Oh, just that for every child on the planet. I feel like we're moving towards that. And I'm excited with the progress that I have seen. And I'm excited to see more. I'm excited to see more.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like we've kind of covered pretty much what we had to cover for this
Yeah.
specific topic. So let's also because another big topic that discussion I want to go over with you is
Mhm.
so I've listened to a recent interview that you did with Humming Fools on the Ominous website. So
Oh, yes.
yeah, and you guys discussed a lot about spirituality and just a
Yeah.
lot of like mental health stuff, which we kind of discussed about the last time, but I don't think we really
Mhm.
went in depth into it. So,
Okay.
yeah. So, how would you say that spirituality is such an
Yeah.
important part on your journey, like as a creative individual and just you as a person,
Oh,
your
thank you
own
for
little journey?
asking that,
Yeah.
Robert. I really appreciate this question. It is my favorite thing to talk about, but strangely, I don't talk about it a lot, oh, except for my very close friends, group of friends who know me very well.
It's
I am
important
an
to talk about.
yeah, I'm an incredibly spiritual person. One might even say religious, but to my religion, which I do not put on anyone else. Like I do, this is how I feel. I feel whatever spiritual path you have, whatever religion you choose, whether you choose a religion or not, it's such a private, personal choice for each person. I respect every individual's choice, whatever that may be. I love talking about the creator of all life. I love that conversation. I love the different aspects. I love hearing from people from multiple different religions, faiths, backgrounds, spiritual paths, all of it. I love it. I myself am an Ekist. I belong to a religion called Eckankar. It is the spiritual path of freedom, path of spiritual freedom. It is the path of spiritual freedom. And I've been practicing it for over 25 years. That's actually, this tattoo has hue on it. And hue is the word that Eckists sing in contemplation, but it doesn't belong to Eckankar. Anybody can sing the hue. Anybody of any faith, whether you believe in God, whether you don't believe in God, anybody can sing the hue. You can use it for meditation. You can add it to your prayers. It just sung like this. Hue, hue. And I've been doing it for 25 years plus because for me, what it does is it centers me every time I sing it. So if my mind is somewhere or my emotions get pulled in a direction or I feel anxious or anxiety, I just sing the hue. The reason I tattooed it on me was because I wanted to remember to sing it and I kept forgetting. So I thought if I tattooed it on me at, I think I was 24, I was like, if I tattoo it, I'll never forget because people will remind me it's there. And it worked. And here I am 25 years later, still singing it because it still works for me. It still works for me. It is my number one go to tool. I sing it when I have questions I want answered. I truly believe that each of us has the ability to answer any questions we have ourselves. But the key is to go within and find your own answers. For me, I do that by singing the hue. I sing the hue, I ask the question. So I'll sing the hue maybe for 10 minutes, ask the question, and then I'll sit in silence for 10 minutes and wait and just kind of like receive the information. And I'll get my own inner guidance that way. Now, everybody does it their own way. I find like everybody has that gut feeling, everybody has coincidences, everybody has, well, that's a strange, interesting synchronicity. Everybody experiences that in their own way. And we all may use different terms for it, but we all are having this spiritual experience in human bodies. So I love talking about past lives. I love talking about dreams. I love talking about soul travel, which is a little bit different than astral travel. I love talking about spiritual practices, whether you pray or whether you meditate. Like, what do you do? What are the things that really light up for you? What is it? What keeps your conversation with the divine going every day? And the reason I do any of this is because I chose a career where every day is unknown. I don't know from day to day if I'm going to work. I don't know from day to day what my financial situation is going to be. So I learned really early on that I had to go within and I needed to feel secure within myself, that there was no such thing as security outside of myself, certainly not in this career. But I could feel secure within when I go out throughout my day and I get the little signs that I set up. I work with spirit or the force. You could use the force from Star Wars. When I work with the force, I have a lot of Star Wars tattoos. Um, when I work with the force, I'm like, okay, show me show me what you want me to do today. How can I be of service today? How can I do something nice for someone today? Show me where you want me. And it never lets me down, and I've been doing that since I was 24, actively. Before that, I was kind of doing it before I found Eckankar naturally, but then once I found Eckankar, it gave me all the tools to go deeper, go further, do more, have more fun, and I'm thrilled about it. Now, I have my own experiences, but I'm much more interested in other people's experiences. So I open the floor to you, Robert. What do you use? What is your experience? What are you interested in terms of spiritual stuff? What keeps your connection with the force, and how do you do that? How do you overcome anxiety and fear and all? What are your spiritual tools? What do you got in your spiritual toolbox, Robert?
Oh, here we go. I have been waiting for this question for so long. Um, so personally, for me, um, so growing up, I was raised in a very non-denominational Christian household.
Hmm.
So Christianity is my religion. I recently just did an episode where I had two voice actors on, and we also talked about faith and how it really helps them, with life and how it's such a huge, strong,
Absolutely.
just their own faith is what carries them in their work and how it
Mm.
helps them, alongside their journey and how
Hmm.
um, it really helps them, share their faith and pretty much how they shared how they actually met and connected. And you just never know because they just
But don't
connected.
deflect. I want to know how you're talking about other people and how they connected. Robert, I want to know, how do you connect? I'm having a
Yeah, how do I
conversation with you.
connect?
How do you connect? What's important to you spiritually for you? How do you want? Because none of us actually know, right? Like, there's not one of us that is the expert on how the universe was created. We're all just following our own intuition. So, what I love about connecting with spiritual people is hearing what is your way of doing that, because your way is going to be different than mine, but that's what makes it so amazing and powerful, because you might have tools that I need to hear so that I can practice, so that I could use, that might light up for me or someone listening.
Yeah. Um, but I just wanted to point that out there, just as a little self
Thank
plug and
you.
promo.
I
So
appreciate
yeah,
it.
yeah. I mean, like, it can kind of help me with like relationships because that was something I was going to get into. It helps people like,
Oh, I love
get
that.
connected with, with each other. Like, hi, so I heard that you're, whatever, it doesn't have to be Christianity, but, I heard that you also shared this religion with me. So how exactly, does it, correspond with like with work, with just your life? And that's pretty much how the two guests I had on, that's how they got connected. And for me personally, for me, it
Yeah.
really helps me with my faith and in the Lord with Jesus and just learning upon all of this stuff when ever since I was 5 because I never shared this, but I actually did not actually start talking until I was 5 years old, and it was through a lot
Okay.
of prayers
Neither
from
did
my.
James Earl Jones. James Earl Jones
Oh,
also didn't speak until he was 5. So you're in good company.
oh, I actually did not see.
Darth
I'm learning something
Vader.
new. Yeah, I actually see, I'm learning something new every day. Yeah, with these conversations. But yeah, it was just through a lot of prayer from family, my
Mm.
just yeah, just with a lot of different prayers from like my family members, friends, and everyone that all of a sudden I just started speaking my first words, which was hello, hi. That was pretty much what I can vaguely remember my first words. But yeah, I just started talking. So how it all kind of connects with me wanting to pursue this, being a
Mm.
voiceover artist. It's I feel that like every person has a voice, every person has a story
Yeah.
to tell, and for me in particular, I really wanted to serve myself as an inspiration for those that have difficulty just communicating with people because
Mm.
a lot of people just um and I get it because a lot of people struggle with shyness, they struggle with social anxiety, they struggle with
Mm.
just really talking to people because I know a lot of people that are on the autism spectrum, they have Asperger's and they have a lot of these they feel like it's going to hold them back. And I'm just,
Neurodivergent. We just call
yeah,
ourselves neurodivergent now, right? Like as a
neurodivergent.
whole.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't have to have be autistic or ADHD. We're just neurodivergent now. That's just the operating system of our brains now. Yes, yes.
Yeah. So, and people seem to think that it's going to hold them back or like it's not going to get them, carry them far. But I'm just going to say, um, that is not true because
Not true.
we have these
Look at us,
gifts.
Robert.
Yeah.
We are the proof.
Yeah,
It's not true.
we're just kind of doing what we love doing because
Yeah.
we just have a passion for like because specifically it was animation. It was
Yeah.
something that we watched as a kid. It's a celebrity.
Yeah.
I still remember watching all of those like specials and stand up like from the great legends like Robin Williams or
Yeah. Who
Eddie Murphy.
absolutely had
Yes.
ADHD but was not diagnosed. Come on now.
Yeah.
Robin Williams was definitely ADHD, no question.
Course. Yeah, so I still love Robin, and the fact that there
Me
was
too.
nobody else like him. He had this unique sensibility. It was his comedic
Yeah.
timing, and it was his like
His
just the fact
capacity
that
for
he was,
speed, how fast he could do it.
but it was
That was
also
the
his
gift of the ADHD. He could change like
right away,
because he had this ability. His brain was wired so he could do it that way. That's just how his brain worked. That's what made him so genius.
and it was also his honesty and his down to earth because
Yeah.
he had a lot of homeless people like
Yes, he
in his
did.
movies that he did, and it was just
He
his
helped a
kindness and
lot of
capacity.
people.
So it was
Yeah.
just his humble, just his gift, and it was just
Yeah.
him, just that just really
Yeah.
spoke to me. Like, you know what? With my own spirituality and with my gifts and what I can do,
Yeah.
I'm like, I I aspire to be somebody who can be very just much I could be considered as an inspiration to so many people who feel they are
I
just
love that.
stuck or trapped and they feel like they don't have anywhere else to go. I want to change that. I want
I
to
love
fix that
that.
mentality. I want to,
Yes, and
and
you
people like you and
are.
me,
Yes. Let's
yeah,
do it.
both
Let's
of
do
us.
it, Robert. Let's do it.
Look at
Yes.
me. I'm just like,
I love
yes,
it.
queen.
But I love it. But I
Look at
do
me.
think that that's a spiritual calling. I think that's a spiritual calling. Like those, I find that the people that are spiritual, however they choose to identify as spiritual, most of us are called to a form of service. At serving, whether you're serving God directly, whether you feel like you want to serve humans, serve animals. Most spiritual people I know want to give service in some way. And I have found that the only way out of depression when I go into a dark depression is to be of service to others. The fastest way out of a depression is for me to be of service. So if I can't see anything, going and volunteering somewhere, if somebody needs a pet sitter, if somebody needs something, if somebody needs to move, I'm like, I got to go help this person because it will pull me out of this dark place that I'm in mentally. So there is, because it's a giving love thing, right? And I do feel like giving love, the more love you give, the more love you receive. And to me, almost every religion mentions that God is love. If that's the case, if God is love, then that means love is God. So whenever you're feeling love, that is God. When you're giving love, that is God. When you're receiving love, That is God. However, you choose to understand what God is. It could be anything for anybody, depending on your perspective. Because the word God, what does that mean? It's different, you know? But these are questions we should be asking ourselves. So for me, when I think of God, I just think of love. I love the poetic term, the ocean of love and mercy. That is how I choose to visualize and see God. That's the ocean of love and mercy, right? Just that flow of love, right? So I love what you're talking about, because what you're talking about, what Robin Williams gave was love, the highest, most spiritual thing there is in the world.
Yeah. And one of my all-time favorite Bible verses is actually from Isaiah 41:10, which is God says to fear not, for I am with you. So if you're ever feeling down, just I always quote this scripture. It says, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your guide. I will strengthen you, I will help you, and I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." That is the scripture that I
Oh, I
often
love
quote to when I'm
that.
feeling, you know, any bit of like anxiety, or like if I'm feeling down, if I feel like
Beautiful.
going into a dark slump. That is something that I always quote whenever I feel like, hey, it's
Yes.
kind of like the Lord just giving me, like, placing his hand on my shoulder, and he's saying this to me, just saying, listen, I know that even if it feels like the world is against you, even if it feels like your friends or anybody or whatever feelings that you have, I will never leave you, and I will
Yeah.
never forsake you. So that's pretty much what I've always been raised and
That is
taught
so powerful.
since I was a
And what I
young
love
kid.
about that, they I am always with you. I mean, because I also follow that as well, and I hear that inside me myself as well, as I am always with you. I hear that all the time from God or spirit or whatever that is, that guidance, that inner
Yeah.
guide. I hear that. And when I feel that, I don't feel lonely. I spend a lot of time by myself. I am a single woman living alone. I should feel lonely. I don't, because I feel that I am always with you all the time. I walk every day filled with whatever that is. For me, I can call it the Holy Spirit. I could call it God. I could call it, divinity, source, the force, but all of it is with me all the time. I love that movie in the Star Wars where he's, I am one with the force is with me. I am one with the force is with me. That Donnie Yen character said that in Rogue One. And what I love about that, because that is his way of saying, of that verse that you just quoted. It's just another way of saying and hearing, I am always with you.
Man, so let's talk about, because there's also been a lot of discussions about and I'm pretty sure that you're also well familiar with this, but anime going union, and a lot of talks about SAG, AFTRA, and just a lot of stuff that's been going about. And I was listening into there was a Twitter space that Stephanie Shea was in, Marin Miller, and just a lot of Ben Diskin, also a lot of these great voice actors that are just talking about, like, the union stuff, and a lot of, because for anybody who wants to get into this, a lot of people, a lot
Mhm.
of young actors really want to work in anime, but of course, as everybody knows, anime is some of the lowest paying in the industry. So and to
And the
hear
hardest
these,
job.
yeah,
And it's the hardest
exactly.
job.
Yeah, so a lot of these conversations, I'm glad that people are talking about this more, because with the that are being brought forth, like a lot of, I think I remember a tweet that Sean Chiplock, with, like, there was this recent movie that came out, and actors were being paid like 100, 300 per
Yeah, that's
session,
normal.
and
I know that's
yeah,
shocking to all of you, but to me, I'm like, yeah, that's what they've been
yeah,
doing since I
that's pretty
started
much what
25 years ago. So, like,
yeah.
none of this is like new to me, right? Like, this actual conversation has been had by every generation of voice actor that's come in. There has always been a group that banded together and tried to get the Anime to Go union, and they've all been like disbanded. And so, what would happen is every group would come into anime, and then the actors would get together and say these conditions are not acceptable for this job, and the producers would say we're not paying you more, and so those actors would leave the anime industry altogether and just focus on mainstream games and cartoons. And that happened twice while I was in doing, mostly I did Japanese games, and I only did a few anime series because I really didn't book a lot of anime, but I also didn't mind because it wasn't great money and it was a lot of work. So I never pursued a lot of anime jobs. And some of the jobs I did were union, but the union rates at the time were worse than non-union rates. So again, wasn't something I was pursuing because I knew how that I was never into anime. I never watched anime. The first anime job I had in LA was for Bleach. Um, and I didn't audition for that. That was just called into that because the director had known my work on other video games and stuff. So we would have these conversations. They bubble up all the time in the industry amongst actors, and then they would be squashed by the producers and by the studios saying, "We're never going to pay you more. Stop trying to organize. It's never going to happen." And the union wouldn't listen to us. We kept asking the union to stand up for us, and the union. But at that time, there were two unions, and so the two unions were, it was a giant mess for actors. Like we were definitely getting the short end of the stick. So cut to, like, I also was one of those people that walked away from the Japanese content industry because I'm like, this is not good money. I can't live off of this. And also I feel like they're taking advantage of us and not paying our worth. Considering now the content is getting super exponentially popular. So I started standing with all the union, and I stopped doing non-union everything, and I stood with union only, and I started working with the actors, working towards getting our better gaming contracts first. And so the fact that this is such a beautiful development, again, progress is not quick, that Steph Shea, Marin, Ben, all of the team of CODA, the Coalition of Dubbing Actors, have put together. This is the first time that the grouping, like this, again, this has been done multiple times before, and they all got disbanded. This is the first time the union finally has been backing. So the group of actors who got together went to the union yet again, knock, knock, knock. Can you please support us in this? Now that the union sees Netflix, and Netflix is coming in and everything is being dubbed, now the union's like, ooh, maybe we should get a piece of that. Ooh, we should probably get them to pay more. Now the union we have the union support. Now this is the time for that change finally. It has been a long we've been trying to get it here for over 20 years. We've been ignored for over 20 years. But because the fans are now, and because of social media, and because we are being transparent with this is what's been going on, and the fans are like, hey, that's not okay. How about we don't do that to these actors anymore? We love what they do. So now that you guys are understanding what it is that we've been going through, now that the union is supporting us, now that that the demand is there. If the demand wasn't there, and because before they would say we're not making enough money to justify paying you decent wages, but now they can't say that anymore. That has shifted. They are making enough money now. They can afford to pay better wages. So now we're seeing the change. So keep fighting. As actors, you have to communicate with each other. You have to know what everybody is being paid on a project in order to negotiate properly. You have to communicate with actors. Don't let what the greedy houses do. Not everybody does it, because there's a lot of really great houses and studios that are pro actor and want the best, and they do very good service towards us. But there are many that do not. And the ones that do not try to separate you as an actor, to privately make a deal with you and make you sign an NDA and promise not to talk to the other actors. When someone's doing that with you, trust and believe that the other actors are not getting paid the same rates, that they're getting paid garbage. I remember going into one studio that I thought was a great studio. I worked on a job. I was a lead in a game, and I assumed they were working all of the agreed upon rates. It was non-union at the time, and I thought everybody was getting paid the same rate because it had been a standard video game rate for the longest time. It seemed ridiculous that anybody would get paid less. Well, I saw the contract of the actress coming in next, and she was getting a quarter of what I was getting paid, even though she was booked for the same amount of time. And I was the lead, and I was just getting the standard. They were not giving me more money as a lead. I was just getting the base minimum standard, and there was somebody getting paid even less than me, which was not okay. And that was kind of my breaking point, where I was like, if I don't walk away from this and say something and try to improve conditions, then and when I walked away, it didn't do anything. I walked away from a number of jobs trying to improve conditions for actors, and I was just kind of like scoffed at by the studio, and they just waved and said, bye, you're replaceable. And so I left, and I was like, okay, that's it, fine. I tried. All I could do was try. All I could do was try. But I do believe what's happening now, that my attempt was just another stepping stone so someone could step on my experience and then get to where we're at now. So I feel proud to be part of the journey to help lift others who have come after to do, who are finally breaking through that glass barrier. So like, I don't feel that my efforts were wasted. And of course, my career still is doing exceptional, just staying in union. So it still worked out for me. But I really, I'm so proud of everybody and all their work and everything that they're doing. Because what it feels like is, it feels like that my efforts are not wasted. They are, everything that I tried to do, they're taking that step further into the realm where it is affecting change, where people are getting what they need, where people can be transparent and they can communicate, and they are getting, you know, livable wages in Los Angeles. Like, come on. It's so expensive here. We need livable wages. You might work one session in a month. How do you pay all of your bills and rent with one session? You know, when you break it down to an hourly basis, what I get paid a month equals, you know, a normal livable wage. It's not like the dubbing wages were like, you're making 5 cents an hour in a month, you know, like it's just absurd. And you guys know what it is now. So you can't unknow it. And the more that the public knows about it, the more transparent we are. And the more you understand what the numbers mean, because we're not living in a small city. We're living in Los Angeles. My rent is over $2,000 just for my rent. That's not including, you have to have a car, you have to pay car insurance, you have to pay for registration, you have to have electricity, you have to have internet, you have to have air conditioning. It's Los Angeles. You have to have gas, like all of these other life expense. Oh, and food, apparently people say we must eat, and food in LA is very expensive. So the cost of living here, so that's why actors negotiate new contracts every year or every couple of years. It's not because we want more money because we're greedy. It's because the cost of living in 2 years has gone up. It goes up quickly here. My rent goes up every year, every year. So understand that, like, I am, what I am paid, I have to save so that I can, and I save all the money I make so that I can live throughout the months when I'm not booking work, because there are months that I don't book anything. It happens. That's a normal part of the job. So you've got to be like the grasshopper and the ant, right? Are you going to be the ant and blow all your money, or are you going to be the grasshopper and, no, the ant and save all your money, or are you going to be the grasshopper and have a party? You want to be the ant. You need to, so that you can live through the lean times. But you know, it's, art is like cycles. So I go through periods of what we call a professional lull. Know this, if you're an actor, know this, so that you don't get depressed or quit the gig. If you've gone through a huge period of booking, it's normal to go through what's called a lull, because you've been booked a lot. They've heard you over and over and over again. They get tired of hearing you, so they stop booking you for a while. And it's all the projects that have been hearing you. And then you kind of like, you lay low for a while, and then the next cycle of booking comes where they're like, oh, this person can do all of this. So the goal is to be able to survive the lulls. And every career has lulls, whether you're Jennifer Hale, me, or anybody else. Everybody has lulls. So it's important to have other things going. That's why you'll find that a lot of actors, particularly actors behind the mic, do on camera, they do theater, maybe they're directing, maybe they're writing, that they have other gigs that they keep busy, so that when they hit the voice actor lull, they've got jobs that they can focus on that aren't voice acting, but they're still industry related. That is normal. That is normal. Just to let you know.
Yeah. And that's a lot to, it's a lot of knowledge to, really keep in mind. Because I know that recently there's been like a couple of walkouts with Miraculous Ladybug. There's also been like
For the
people
record,
walking out of
for
job.
Miraculous Ladybug, that's why I left after season one. I did season
Oh,
one and
okay.
the Christmas special, and the rates that they were paying were garbage. And I tried to negotiate the rates, and they refused to pay the rates. I said, this isn't decent rates. You need to do better, blah, blah, blah. And I was the only voice who said it. And so they said no. And so I left the job. I left the job. So they're literally, what happened now is what I did in season one, but they finally heard because the actors grouped together. There were more than one actor who said it, and then the actors let the public know, which I didn't let the public know after season one and a special, because it was unheard of to let the public know the private workings of contract negotiation. That was something we didn't do. Well, now that we're being transparent with the audience, I think that's where the pressure is coming in. So I'm really proud of the Miraculous Ladybug team, because I know I did it, and they let me go. They did not bring me back because of the finances. So that they won the finances, I am so proud of them. So proud of them. That's a big win. To me, that's a big win. And I take that as my own win. I'm like, yeah, you did. Good for you.
Yeah. So how long have you actually been in the union? When did you first get into SAG, and how was the process like of even getting
Well,
into like you did?
my story is not a great story because I was in the union in Canada. So because I was in the union in Canada, I already the unions work together. So if you're SAG, you can get into the union in Canada if you move to Canada, and Canada, if you're in the union, you can get into the union here. So I already qualified to get in. I just have to pay the $3,000 to join SAG. So I did that. I paid the $3,000 when I moved here, and I joined SAG, and I was working union jobs at first. And then somebody wanted me to work on some animation, some great animation. But it was non-union. But I was very excited about the series, and I wanted to do it. And the only legal way I could do it was to do something called going Phi Core, where and so I joined. I declared to the union I was going financial core. That allowed me to work on both union and non-union work. There is a big, but with going Phi Core, you do not qualify for health insurance, and you can't vote. You can't participate in any of the SAG meetings. So you basically are a dues paying non-member. So I didn't have access to the union anymore going Phi Core, but I could do union jobs, but I had no access to the union. And so that became that wasn't a great choice for me. I regret that choice. I wish I had never gone Phi Core. I wish I chose, because the job that I went Phi Core for kept promising me they would go union, and they never did. And after 10 years of working on that show, we had to slowly negotiate our rates every year. And the last year I worked on that show, we had finally gotten the rates to a general base union rate, but it was a non-union show. And the show said, we're going to pay you half. We're going to cut your pay in half. Now, if it was a union show, they would never be allowed to do that. But because it was non-union, they got rid of all the producers, hired a new team of producers, and the producer said, you can be on the show still if you get half the pay. And we had built this IP up. The characters were famous because we had built these characters for them. We did this with them, and they disrespected us like that. And I was like, okay, I gotta reverse this. So to reverse my Phi Core status was not easy. Not only did I have to repay the $3,000 to join the union again, to become a full union member, but I had to submit to a committee that had to vote on whether or not they would allow me back into the union as a full member. So I had to get a whole bunch of actors who were full union members to support me. Well, luckily there were a lot, and they all spoke on my behalf so that the committee would help vote me back in as a full member, which I am now, since the video game strike is when it all went down. And I wanted to be involved in the video game strike, and I'm like, I can't be a Phi Core member and do this fully. I want to be a full member so that I can support the strike. And so it all happened around then. And so that's been my journey with the union. Now, granted, when I joined the union, it was SAG, and there was a second union, AFTRA, and I belonged to both unions. And at the time, the unions were negotiating against each other. That was hurting us, the actors. So I had a lot of bad feelings about the unions, because I felt that they treated voice actors terribly at the time, and that they did not have our backs. I did not feel safe. But once the unions merged, I started seeing big shifts in terms of supporting voice actors. And where the union is now, after the video game strike, that's when the union showed its true colors for the first time about supporting voice actors and really supporting us in the industry. And that's when the industry really started changing. So I at that time I was like, okay, now I fully support our union and what they're doing for us and how to work with the union. So yeah, I'm a big advocate for the union now. It was a journey to get here. But being not union was not helpful because nobody had my back in the non-union world. Other actors were too frightened to speak up against production. Nobody wanted to be replaced or fired. There was a lot of shady business. I showed up for a job. They had somebody called me in for a job and said the actress was sick. That she wasn't able to do the job. I called the actress, left a voicemail, and said, they said that you were sick and I'm going in to do this job immediately. Please call me back. By the time the actress got the message, I had finished recording all of the content they had asked for to replace this actress. And on my way home, I find out she says she wasn't sick. She was just working. And so they had, yeah. And it was
Excuse
a
me?
really good friend of mine. And so my heart broke. I was broken. I was like, her word against theirs, but I believed her. Because why would she, like, it was awful. I felt awful. That was awful. And I'm like, I can't do this garbage anymore. It's not okay how they play us against each other, how they lie to us, how they get us to lie to each other for jobs. That's not okay. So I like the solidarity of the union. But I also think things have shifted now and that we are really moving to, and it's because of experiences like that and because my generation of actor is willing to talk about these experiences to your generation of actor and say talk to each other, communicate with other actors, find out what your rates are, what everybody's rates are, find out what people are getting paid. Don't let them in the non-union world, because they need you. They need you. I know everybody's excited to get a job, but they need you. They can't create the content they want to create without the talent. And talent isn't unlimited. Talent is a really specific thing. People either have it or they don't. And if they have talent, are they working on their chops? Are they good at it? Can they do the job? Are they pleasant to work with? There's a lot of different things. So they need you guys. They need you. You don't need them. They need you. So ask for what you deserve, respect yourself, respect your co-actors, respect other actors. Join together, work together, communicate. Listen to the leaders in the acting community that are trying to tell you what the truth is and what's going on. That's important because producers will say whatever it is to get their project done and pay you the least amount they can possibly pay you. That's what they will do. Period.
All I can do is that one the reaction gif where the guy is just like,
Yeah.
that's pretty much me right here. I'm like,
Yeah.
excuse
Now,
me.
don't get me wrong. It's really important. There are amazing producers out there. There are amazing studios out there. There are a lot of people that are pro actor and working for better conditions for actors. There are a lot of people who are in those places that are making terrible decisions for actors that are trying to fight for the actors, but they're just one voice against a huge machine and they're not winning. So the champions are out there, but it helps. A champion can't be just one person against an ocean of orcs. You know what I mean? We have to have an army of us. They only listen to us when there's all of us banded together. That's why it's important. Support the
Pretty
champions.
solid advice.
Support the champions. Don't be afraid. Always support the champion because the champion is championing you.
Yeah. Yeah. So for anybody listening, it's a journey, and I would have asked like because you have your stuff to showcase to the world because you have your website, demos, and a portfolio, resume, all of that stuff to, I guess they say marketing and whatnot, and there's a lot of advice that could go into getting your name out there, but like that's a whole different can of worms altogether. Same as getting in how to get into the union, which I know there's um okay, so I'm just gonna put this out there. You can watch episodes if you want to learn more about voiceover. Watch VO Buzz Weekly. That's a great podcast, which
Oh
this
yes,
lovely lady
VO
is
Buzz
on.
Weekly. They tell you everything you need to know
They
about
literally tell you
voiceover.
everything. Yeah,
Everything you need to know. If you call yourself a voice actor and you haven't watched every episode of VO Buzz Weekly, I call
trust me.
Bialoni. I call Bialoni. You
I'm a,
have to
s-
watch that
I'm a
show if
steal
you want
that.
to know the industry. You have to watch that show. They give you the keys to the kingdom for
Yeah,
free.
exactly. This is literally what everybody talks about. Like, I've
Stacey
subbed to that
Aswad and
channel.
Chuck Duran.
Yeah, they're really awesome. Which you
They are the
were also,
king and
yeah.
queen.
Yeah. And speaking of which, it was through them. I mean, you were a guest on their podcast, and it was pretty much through them. Yeah. And that's pretty much how you actually got started into coaching, like we talked about last time.
It
So you
is.
can,
It is.
yeah.
Yeah. It's because
So
of
we got
them.
them. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you,
they're
Stacy and
amazing.
Chuck, if you're
We
listening, if you
love
ever
you. You
listen.
guys are the best.
Yeah. Shout out.
Demos that rock. Demos that rock. Chuck Duran's company,
Yes.
Demos that rock. Give him a little promo.
Hey, and speaking of podcasts, something that I've actually been listening to a lot is some podcasts, whether it's for like voiceover or just some other stuff. It doesn't have to be always specifically like the performing arts. I just like listening to podcasts on what's what's going on, like what recent like stuff has been coming out, and just to geek out on like childhood nostalgia and just learn about different cultures and whatnot. So I think you actually did a podcast based on Overwatch, and you had a lot of the Overwatch voice
We
actors on
did do
it.
that. We did
That
that
was a
for years.
long
Danielle
time ago.
Mccrae, one of my best friends in the whole universe, a voice actress
Hey, love
extraordinaire,
her.
Danielle Mccrae. Um, but we are, although we met because we worked together, we became besties over Overwatch, and for 6 years we've been playing Overwatch together, and we loved Overwatch so much in the first 3 years that we created a podcast called Waifus of Overwatch. We don't do it anymore. I don't even know if the episodes are
Uh,
still up, but
I
it's
think they are
I think they're on
on
YouTube
YouTube.
still.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think I posted them on the YouTubes. Yeah, the
I could go
waifus
back and
of
check. Yeah.
Overwatch, and we used website, but I don't pay for it anymore, so I don't know if it's still up. Of Waifus of Overwatch, and we did. We started with all the actors we knew personally in the game, and I'm like, well, we know these people, we can interview them, and all we wanted to talk about were our favorite characters in the game. Like that's literally all it was me and Danielle going, we can make our favorite characters in the game talk to us for an hour. But the best part about that podcast, which first of all was amazing that we got to do it, and we had such a great time, and we did it for I think a couple of years anyway. We committed to that, but I got one of my other best friends that came from that podcast is Chloe Hollings. Chloe Hollings and I became very close friends because of that podcast. We just bonded overnight, and she plays Widowmaker. So yeah, it's one of those wonderful, one of those, I don't know. It was a passion project. We did it out of love. We did it for 2 years while Overwatch League was still in LA, and we could go to Overwatch League and all of those things. And then, then things started going south for Blizzard, and we just kind of backed off it when the heat was put on Blizzard with all of
Oh,
all the lawsuits, and there was so much stuff that has gone down where we're like, you
oh
know what, maybe we
yeah.
don't want to. We
Draw
just kind of backed
attention.
off it. Yeah, and we
Yeah.
actually had backed away from playing the
Publicity.
game during all the stuff that was going on in China at the time, the Hong Kong stuff, the protests. So
Oh, oh man.
yeah, that's when we backed off a little bit. We continued a little bit after that. Um and now we just Danielle and I literally have played Overwatch together 3 times this week already, and so
Nice.
and we haven't hit the weekend yet. So we still play Overwatch regularly, and we can't wait for Overwatch 2 to come out. So we're still big fans of the game. We still play the game all the time, and we're very proud of our work for that podcast. That was a real fun labor of love. If you find the episodes and can listen to them, have at it. I hope you do. I hope it's still on the YouTubes. I'm very proud of that work.
Nice. And do you still stream on Twitch? Because
I
I think I
do.
haven't really been. Yeah.
I do. Erin Fitzgerald on Twitch. Just me. I don't play the games I'm in. I stream the games I like to play. When I'm playing video games, that is my time off. I want to play video games. I'm a gamer. I want to game. I don't want to work. I don't want to play games I work on. It feels like work. Yeah, give me some Animal Crossings for mental health, please. Yeah.
Once again, not sponsored. But anyways,
Yeah.
yeah, and speaking of which, I know a lot of Ed, Ed and Eddie fans. I know they're probably going to be excited about this, but yeah, like you're also on another podcast, What's in My Head podcast. Yeah, and it marks the first time, like I think since the show ended, that all three of the Eds got together and
Yeah,
done a podcast. I'm
it
like,
is. It
whoa,
is.
like,
Yeah, that was
yeah.
true.
And it's
Yep.
for the first time that we've actually seen Tony since he actually
Moved to Alberta.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, it's so amazing. I've seen that podcast episode and I've also watched the one you were on his little
Oh,
podcast because
thank
like
you.
yeah, I like to follow my favorite voice actors, not stalk them, but like yeah, just follow their work just to catch up what
No, I
they're up
appreciate
to and
that.
just
We
to
appreciate that.
see what they've been doing. But yeah, but
Yeah.
that podcast was like I mean you I think you even said it, but like where it's like yeah, those guys just made like it's kind of they made history because this is like the first time anybody has really gone out of their way to get all three of the ads back together. And not just that, but like the
Since
incredibly
the show
talented Peter.
ended.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like Peter Kalamis
Yeah.
was on the
Calamus.
podcast.
Yeah.
Kalamis, yeah. And he's just super
He's
funny.
my
I mean,
he's my
like,
favorite. None offense to everybody else, but I literally got to record across from Peter. Peter is already a genius stand-up comic. Like
Peter,
his stand-up
yeah.
comedy was already like beyond. And then he's an on-camera comedic actor and just comedic actor anyway, but recording on that show and getting to stand across from him, watching him be Rolf, are you kidding me? It was tears where I wasn't allowed to laugh out loud because I'd ruin his take, but tears from the comedy coming out of his face. It was oh I miss it. I miss
Man,
it. Yeah, it
yeah.
was joy. It was pure joy. That he was a joy to work around. Like he just oh he was so he's so I love Peter. He's so talented, so
Chef's
talented.
kiss. Yeah.
Mm.
And I've seen the videos where people were like recording him doing like the because he was on also on Dragon Ball Z and they made like these videos where
Mhm.
like
Oh
Rolf
yeah,
was doing
right.
like the Kamehameha where his version of Kamehameha as Rolf is like Kamehameha Ed boy.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I
That's
was
funny.
like dying. And that's something I never
How
thought
has nobody
I
done that?
never
Yeah, it's
asked for,
perfect. It's
but I'm like,
perfect.
it just made my day.
That's
You
a
know what?
Christmas
I'm
gift.
all for it.
There
Yeah,
you go.
Christmas gift. Yeah.
That's
And
funny.
I think I'm not sure if we talked about this the last time, but you do a one-woman show based on The Wizard of Oz, and you do like over 20 characters. So yeah, any update? Because
Dude,
I know
well
you've been doing a
the
lot of
last
shows. Yeah.
dude, like that show I think when we talked last I had just performed in Portland and then we went into lockdown. So it has been 2 years.
Yeah.
We haven't
Ooh.
done the show in 2 years. So I have kept the show alive basically on breathalyzer, doing it by myself in my house for 2 years, 2.5 years actually. And we're looking to do the first post pandemic performance this fall in Los Angeles. Honest to God, I'm still working on like the physical shape I had to be in to do the show in the first place. Now I know I'm a juicy woman, but the cardio, like I can be juicy and have good cardio because I was juicy and had good cardio when I did the show in Portland. But and I'm still juicy, but I gotta get my juicy means thick for anybody who doesn't know. I'm a thick lady. I'm not a skinny mini. I'm thick. So with my
Peace
thickness, I
out.
need I need to have straight up good cardio to do the show. So because it's a lot of breath control. Like if I just stood and do the show
Oh yeah.
vocally, I can do that as it's a cakewalk. But doing it's a show. There is no set, no lights, no special effects, no costumes. It's just me. So everything is done with my body. All the sounds, all the 28 characters, all the songs that I can do and it's considered satire because we're away from the film enough that it's not quite the film, but it's tip of the hat to the film. And I think we've got permission from the WB to do it 2 more times before we have to renegotiate our contract with permissions from the WB. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the next show. Our goal is to do it in the fall. we're going to have two different shows. We're going to do an afternoon for the children version, which is the show I'd done before. But we're also going to do a grown-up parental advisory version where which is basically the version I do when I'm rehearsing and I let cuss words fly out of my mouth because, you know, it's a hard show and sometimes it just gets hard and cuss words fly out of my mouth. So we do have that version as well that we will do late at night if I have the energy to manage to. That's what I'm working on. I'm working on being able to do the show twice in one day. And right now, I can only get through half the show before my body gives out. So I've got a lot of work to do over the next 5 months, but I believe I can do it. I think I can do it. I'm getting stronger every day. Every day. Every week I'm rehearsing. Every week I'm working at it. I'm working at it. So
Yeah.
hopefully we videotape it so that we can stream it, but I don't know if we'll be permitted to do that. So we'll find out. We'll find out. We'll do the best we can. Go to fakeradio.net. That is the producer of my show, fakeradio.net, David Koff. If you sign up to be on that email list, if a video version comes out, he will send out emails about when he'll send out emails even for the live versions of the show. Because if we go LA, we might do another one in Portland. We're hoping to go to New York next year. We'll see what happens. Everything depends on, you know, lawyers, negotiations, permissions, all of that. But yeah, fakeradio.net. If you want to track my progress with that, feel free to sign up on those mailing lists. They don't go out often. You know, our shows are few and far between.
That way, that would be awesome. Yeah, you could be like around the place where they do like they pretty much have shows in like Hamilton and all of these other great Broadway productions. So
Well,
yeah.
I would, my dream is to take it to Edinburgh Festival in Scotland, but I have to be in incredible shape because then I would be doing two shows a day for 5 days. So I'm not there
Oh
yet,
yeah.
but I'm working up to it. That is my ultimate marathon goal is to do this show at the Edinburgh Festival. That would be a dream come true. But physically, I don't know if I'll be able to. But, you know, I thought this whole show was impossible. Literally, when I took it to the guy to direct the show, I was like, David, I have a crazy idea. I want to do this show. And I told him a one woman Wizard of Oz. And he's like, no, that's impossible. But let's try. So we did 2 years of rehearsal of just trying, honestly, not thinking it was going to amount to anything. Like, we honestly didn't think I would fit. I mean, we knew vocally I could do it because I could do it just reading the script, but physically, I didn't know if I could do it. And I did it twice, you know, in front of an audience and then a number of times in rehearsal. So I know I did the impossible. If I did the impossible once, Robert, I believe I could do it again.
Yeah, and that I have the utmost confidence that you will.
Thank you, Robert. I appreciate the support for real.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, what are some of your favorite like musical or Broadway productions? Because you did like musical theater and whatnot. So what are your
I
favorite
did.
productions? Yeah,
I love The Lion
favorite
King.
artists.
I
Yeah.
love The Lion
Oh,
King.
mm,
I love The Lion King. And Cabaret is really close to my heart because I think the best musical I was ever in was my fourth year university production of Cabaret, directed by Pia Wyatt. I think that the show we produced that year as a group of actors and under her direction with Brian Ball as the set director, um, I think it's been unparalleled. I don't think I've ever seen or been in a show that was as good as that production. It was amazing. It was one of those moments in life. So I'm Cabaret is special to me because of that.
yeah. If we're talking musicals, I think we pretty much just gush about like songs, like just music covers, artists. I think we'd be here for like another 10 or 15 minutes, pretty much just geeking out about music. But yeah, I mean, of course, everybody loves Disney, like the songs and the soundtracks and whatnot. Everybody does. So, yeah, and would you like to talk about real quick what are some of the ins and outs of what it means to be a voice actor?
Oh, being a voice actor isn't, there's no such thing. It's being an actor.
Yeah.
So the ins and outs of being an actor is your whole body is your instrument. It's not just your voice. You have to take care of yourself. The real, the daily work of this job isn't showing up behind a microphone, in front of a camera, or on stage. That's not the job. The job is what I do every day, what I put in my body, what I eat, what kind of vocal warm-ups am I doing every day? Physically, what am I doing to keep my body healthy and flexible and ready? It's the work that you do in between the jobs that keeps you ready for the jobs. So it's a full-time job. If you're not working on your craft every day, I make characters every day. I'm creating new characters. I'm pulling old characters out of their storage and I'm putting them back on and dusting them off and testing them out and getting to know them better. I have thousands of characters in my character toolbox, thousands, and they're all my characters. They're special, unique to me. So my job is to take care of all of them, to treat them with tremendous respect, to pull them out and work them out whenever I can, so that when I am hired for a job, not only is my instrument, my body, my voice, my vocals, my breath control, breathing is such a big part of it, singing, breath control, but also that you're ready character wise. My job as an actor is to be characters. That's it. I am a character actor. My job is to be believable as those characters. So if you want to be an actor, that's what you should be focusing on. Don't worry about everything else. If you are creating great, believable characters that bring you tremendous joy, trust and believe those characters will book their own work. The
Yeah.
characters will book the work. You don't have to. Your job is to be a vehicle for your characters. Period, point blank. I don't care where you are using your characters. It could be in any form of content.
Yeah. I was talking about this with some of the previous guests that I've had on, and I would say that it's really important to focus on, you know, having that authenticity and have that believability that you have to use for the character that you're portraying. And sometimes, just to have fun, I would often go back and I would think back to, um, okay, so how do I make this character a lot more funny or interesting? Okay, I know. Maybe I could just do something that I just take something that I've heard like in a radio or like in a TV show and use that, tweak it a little bit, and just make the character my own. And chances are I might book it, I might not. But the most important thing to focus on, whatever you're doing in audition, if you're in a session, whatever you're recording, having fun is key. Like if you're not having fun, then yeah, but like having fun and having that spontaneity and bringing that energy with you and just having characters come to life in your own unique way. That's what's fulfilling. That's what makes my little happy. That's what brings me the joy and what fills my heart with happiness. It's just working with people and bringing their visions to life and
Yeah.
just working with them and having their projects come to reality. And even if it's for like, I don't know, say a failed pilot, then hey, at least I contributed something. I know I brought something to the world that they weren't really considering about or thinking about, but it's because of the creativity and the way that you perform as an actor, your own unique little toolbox that you bring to the session. That's what's gonna, and even if you didn't get the part, it doesn't mean that they're not gonna like, they'll also keep you in mind for another project. So every time that you play pretend, it's gonna leave a good impression and they will bring you back for another character that's gonna be perfect for you. And that's what I really love. So it's not even about the rejection. It's about who they want, who really best represents the character and who really fits because you don't really know what a director or a casting agency is really looking for a character that you're performing. As long as you're having fun, that's really, and if they can hear you, that smile in your voice, then yeah, that's gonna be a lot of fun. And yeah, will just
I
definitely leave you
love
in
it.
good shape. Yeah.
I love it.
Yep. So, yeah, and for going back to spirituality real quick before we do have to wrap this up, for
Yeah.
Chie, how does, I know you've talked about how spirituality is such a huge important part of your life. So how does Chie, like, what is it about Chie that really helps you as a human being, like as a person? Like, how does, I guess, her character really
Well,
help
I,
you?
I haven't been Chie for a long time, right? Like there hasn't been
Yeah.
new content for Chie. So, um, Chie is just another extension of me. She's what Chie did for me was learning about myself. I learned a lot about myself through being Chie. Um, I I remember when I was hired as Chie, I was cold hired. Um, I was cold. Oh, hang on. No, no, please don't. Oh, hang on, God. I'm not gonna be able to. No, there's gonna be a lot of barking that's gonna happen right now. I tried to text the person, but they're here now, and there's going to be barking, and I apologize. Um,
No worries. We're almost done anyways.
okay, so the thing with Chie was I learned so much about myself because of who she was, thinking that she was a different character outside of me. But when they hired me, the director who hired me was like, I brought you in because you are Chie. That's what she said. And I've said that 1,000 times in interviews, and I never really thought anything about that. But as the years went by, I'm like, oh, like I don't know why it didn't hit me. Like, sure, like I thought maybe it was just my personality quirks or whatever. Like, yeah, I like to watch kung fu movies. Yeah, I like to eat a lot. Um, but the things that didn't occur to me was that, how she wants to protect her friends, and how she really stands up for her friends, and how much I'm gonna cry, how much she loves her friends. And I realize now there are deeper parts of Chie that I also am. And that may be the reason Chie resonates with other people. I mean, the way I am with Yuri in that game is exactly how I am with Yuri in real life. Like that's our relationship out for everybody to see. We are like brother and sister, and we torture each other. And it like it's such a silly little friendship, which is really like, blood relation. Um like things like that, like I don't think that sunk in until now that I haven't been her for a while, that I'm like, oh, these are amazing qualities she and I share. And I learned these qualities in myself, and also the shadow self. The shadow self of Chie I've learned a lot from as well. Doing my own shadow work over the last, 6 years. I feel like because of Chie working on her shadow self, it made it easier for me to work on mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
And I
how she's
guess,
helped me.
yeah. And I've also asked this, like how you and Chie are very much alike and how you relate to the character. That's pretty much what you've just told me. Just all of
Mm,
these that Chie does, and like standing up to friends, just always being there for people. That's pretty much how I see you. And that's just perfect.
thanks.
Yeah.
That means a
And
lot.
yeah. So yeah, and for the spirituality, one last question about this, but how would you say that it has helped? Yeah, it's definitely helped you much throughout life, and it's helped you through some of the darkest points. So like I don't know, you're in a dark slump
Mm.
and okay. And when it comes to like if you're losing a loved one, like the grieving process, how much would you say that it
Oh.
has been
Oh,
instrumental?
that's such an important. Now, I might have a weird answer. I warn everybody listening. My experience with death,
Yeah.
because of my spirituality, might be very different from yours. So be aware. For me, because I work very actively with my dream state, Um, I find that my closest loved ones that have passed, they come to me in the dream state before they pass, and I'm aware of their passing before it happens. I have found that I have been prepared for people passing on multiple occasions. So for me, I don't see death the same way. To me, it's just a transition. It's a transition from having a meat suit to not having a meat suit, because after the person has left their meat suit, I still have experiences with them. Maybe not on the physical, but I can feel their presence, or I will see them in the dream state, or when I'm contemplating. I can still communicate. My best friend died. He was 36. I think I was 34. And I, not to say I don't grieve. Of course I grieve. I because the love has nowhere to go. The love I have for the person, I'm like, where do I put all this love? I have all this love that used to send to you. Now where do I put this love? And so that creates all this, pain and tears and stuff. But like when Matthew passed, I talked to him every night after his passing, and we had conversations, and he told me what he was doing and what he was doing next and what his goals were and what his plans were. And I got to experience, um, his transition into his new incarnation, which I know sounds crazy and that may not resonate for a lot of people, but that's my experience. I had that experience with him. And I've had a lot of those experiences. So my personal experiences with death have been some of the most powerful, beautiful, and spiritually affirming experiences that I have ever had. Like just for me, it's proof that we are more than these meat suits. For me, it's proof that we are soul and that we exist because God loves us. Because that the people I love don't go away. They're still there. They're just not in the meat suit that they used to be in anymore. If that resonates. And I don't want me to put my experience on anyone else. But if anybody listening has experiences like me, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to talk about them because these are things that I know that most people are afraid to talk about because they get made fun of or it feels uncomfortable and nobody wants to talk about this topic. But I find myself really blessed around death, because it has been almost like an initiation for the person going to their next part of their story.
And the reason, yeah, and I had to bring this up. I had to ask this question because, yeah, I'm just gonna make this really short, but so I'm pretty sure a lot of people like, I've reached out to a lot of groups that I'm in. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that quite a few people already know about this. I mean, I posted it on Twitter this Wednesday, but my grandmother just recently passed away from a heart
Mhm.
attack, and she
I'm
was
so
only 80.
sorry.
Yeah, she was only 80 years old, and I was just like,
Mhm.
yeah, she just passed this week, and yeah, and she was really near and dear to me, and I was really close to her, and yeah, my mom and dad, everybody in my family was just really heartbroken. But
Yeah.
you know something? We we've known her for so long, and it's like you said, it's the memories that we share with people that is gonna stay with you. I mean, of course, we're gonna grieve, and
Yeah.
we're gonna be it's gonna be it's gonna be hard knowing that like whenever we have like these family events, they're not
Yeah.
gonna be there
That's hard.
like physically, but at least they're always gonna be just like the scripture that
The
I
love doesn't
said.
go anywhere. The love
Yeah,
doesn't go
it's like
anywhere.
they're always there in spirit. So I'm not really too just, I mean, I am hurt,
Well,
but yeah, everybody grieves differently.
would you like a technique to meet her in the dream state if you want to, if you're open to that? And it won't change your religion or your faith. You can use it, work it with your faith.
Sure.
You don't have to use it, but if you're missing her and you want to see her, just sing Hugh before bed. Just sing it a few times and ask inwardly, ask to see her in the dream state. For many people, this has worked. You just sing Hugh, send that love to her inwardly, ask to see her in the dream state. And then whether it happens that night, it may not happen that night, but if you do it consecutively over a number of nights, I have very few people that said that they didn't have the experience. I did it recently with my best friend, Danielle Mccrae. She lost her cat last year and she lost her father this year, and she uses the technique and she has met with her father and her cat both in the dream state, which helped for her. It helps the grieving. When I meet my loved ones in the dream state, and I know where they are and I see that they're safe and they look really happy when I wake up, I feel better. I don't do it because I want to, have this experience, or I do it because the love, and I miss them, right? When you miss them, you just want to see them, and you can if you want to. If you want to. And I use the hue for that. The hue is like it's like a telephone wire between you and the person you love. So you can ask them to visit you in the place where they can visit you, which is the dream state.
Yeah. And that's something that I might consider doing. I might try this out and I'll keep you updated about. I'll email
I
you
would
to see
love
how
to.
it works.
Yeah,
Yeah. Um,
absolutely.
and also, and another reason why I'm not really like, I mean, like, don't get me wrong. Wednesday, when I found out that she passed, I was just all over the place. And then yesterday,
Yeah.
I just had to pretty much take it easy. Today, I'm
Yeah,
still,
that's
just
normal.
taking it easy because, like, yeah, I've known her for like close to,
Yeah,
yeah,
your whole
it would
life.
have
Well,
been
your whole
22,
life.
yeah, pretty much my whole life, 22 years. And when I visited her, and also I did visit her on Saturday before she passed, and she looked,
Yeah.
yeah, she was hooked up on like an
Yeah,
oxygen machine, and it was just
it's
hard.
hard.
But,
It's so
and then
hard.
when I've seen her just laying in bed on Wednesday when she did pass, she just looked so peaceful. And it was
Yeah.
just, because she's been through like so much. She's been through like a hard life. She was in so much pain.
Yeah.
She was tired. When she had the heart attack in January, she was just a lot of hospital visits. My family had to take care of her. Everybody was just exhausted
Oh,
because
that's a
the
lot. That's a
care,
lot.
yeah, the care,
And
because
grieving
it's a
comes in
huge commission.
waves, right?
Yeah,
Grieving,
it's a
like
huge commitment. Yeah.
and the grieving of something like that after you've been, like, the trauma of that is no joke. It is a real
Oh
situation.
yeah.
So what I for me, this is what I experienced, that the grief comes in waves. So I'll be fine for a while, and then I'll be overwhelmed, like an ocean wave just hits me with the grief, and I cry my eyes out for whatever amount of time I need to cry my eyes out. It could be anywhere when it hits. I could be driving. I could be in the middle of a session when it hits, and I just let it happen. I let the grief come and flow because it's part of the healing process of letting someone, transition and
Yeah.
move on. It's just
And,
normal, but it's hard. It really is hard. And I'm so
and
sorry that you're experiencing that.
yeah, and we also just had somebody else pass away, like in October last year.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah, my
lot of
uncle
it.
was, yeah, from COVID.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just been a lot.
it's
Yeah, but
hard.
I know I'll definitely get through it.
When it's nice
Like
to
I
have
s
it makes us more grateful for the people we do have around, and I find, like,
exactly.
I don't know about
Yeah.
you, but I talk about how much I love people more. I talk
Uh-huh.
about, I don't hide it. I don't wait to say I love you to the people I love.
No, no.
My appreciation for my loved ones is just, I mean, I think experiencing death teaches you to appreciate life. It really
Yeah,
does.
especially these days, because you just never know when somebody's
Yeah.
last moments are gonna be. So that's why
Yeah.
I call and I reach out to my dad. I reach out to family, my
Yeah.
sisters,
Yeah.
brother, my mom, everyone, because I just want to make sure that I'm as close to
I
my
love
family as much
that.
as I can. Yeah, I just have to care for my
Well,
family. Yeah,
and I think, I mean, as far as heavy topics to end an interview with, but a beautiful message, right? Such a beautiful
yeah,
message to leave everyone with. Tell the people you love them. Don't wait. Tell the people
exactly.
you love them, and use whatever spiritual techniques you use to communicate with the people you love, whether they're here or passed over to the other side, because the love doesn't go anywhere. It's still
Yeah.
there. Love is
Oh
eternal
yeah.
because love is God.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh,
And
this
I
has
think
been
that's all
wonderful.
it
This
really
has been such
was.
a great interview. Thank you so much, Robert. I am so grateful. This has been wonderful. I do have another appointment I have to get to. We've been
No
talking for,
worries.
I could talk to you forever. I swear to God, if I didn't have another appointment, I would just keep talking, but I really do have
Yeah,
to go. I'm so sorry. But
no
thank you so
worries.
much for your time.
Yeah, would you like to say like what other upcoming work that you're doing now and promoting your social media and just any last bit of
Oh, well,
advice
I feel like I've said everything that I can say. You can
that
find
is
me
not
under
under
my name.
NDA? Yeah.
All right. My name is Erin Fitzgerald. Um, Erin Fitzbadass, Erin Fitzgerald, either of those, you can probably find me on the Google. And yeah, let's keep the discussion going in all the things that we were discussing. Like everybody listening, let's just keep the discussion with ourselves, with our friends, with our loved ones. Let's keep our hearts open and the discussion going and keep moving forward because I think we're doing amazing things. And thank you so much. Lots of love.
And do you have like any last closing words or any final farewells or before
Just
we, yeah,
may the blessings be.
yeah. I think that's definitely the best way to close this out on. Um, yeah, and you can also I do this thing where like people can give outros like my name is I'm Aaron Fitzgerald. I'm
Sure.
so and I do this and this and this. I
Okay.
play these characters work and
Yeah.
you're watching the Station Square podcast.
My name is Erin Fitzgerald, and you're watching the Sis. Ugh.
Oh
My
yeah,
name is
you have to
Erin
listen. Yeah.
Fitzgerald, and you're. I can't do it because I'm. My name is Erin Fitzgerald, and you're watching the Station Square podcast. Oh, my name is Erin Fitzgerald. I play Chie Satanaka, Ural from World of Warcraft, Sona and Jana from League of Legends. I'm in Ed, Ed, and Eddie. I'm in Monster High. I'm in Storybots. And you're listening to the Station Square podcast.
Perfect. Yay.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
so
Erin.
much.
Thank
Have a
you once
great
again
rest
for
of your
stopping.
day. That, and I'm
You
so sorry
too.
to cut it off. It was such a, you're getting into such a deep, beautiful part of the conversation, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
No worries. Yeah, but
Okay.
yeah, for anybody who wants to stick around and wants to catch me on the socials, I am Robert Jackson, Mystic Iron J. I'm just pretty much everywhere. The socials will be in the description by the time this goes up, and you can watch this on my YouTube channel by the time this goes up, the video version. So yeah, thank you once again for everybody for sticking around to the very end of this very deep, insightful conversation. And
Yeah.
be sure to tune in next time. And who knows, I might have Erin back on for the third, what is it? The Star
Installment.
Wars. Yeah, the third
Oh,
installment.
let's talk
What's the
about
third
Star Wars.
Star Wars? What's the third title? Yeah.
Return of the Jedi.
Return
Perfect.
of the Jedi. Yes, let's go and use that analogy. But until
Perfect.
then, I am Robert Jackson and I am signing out for today. Have a good weekend. Stay safe, stay hydrated. Please, it's hot as heck over here. And yeah, get vaccinated. And until then, oh yeah, any upcoming conventions that you're going to be attending?
Oh,
Because I've seen
AVOX LA in
I
July. Yeah,
wanna,
I'll
I'm
be at
gonna
AVOX.
try to go to that one so bad so I can finally meet you and all of these lovely voice actors that I've admired for years. I'm gonna do my best to try to make it to that one in July, prayerfully. So until then, have a good day, everybody, and I'll see you all next time. Peace out.
Bye.
Bye bye. Peace.